Welcome, this is the test 3-2 review for academic. So what do you need to know for this test? You need to know order of operations and integer operations. So Serena bought 5 shirts for $6 each and she spent $7. She paid for the shirts and lunch using their credit debit card. The change in the balance of Serena's checking account can be represented by the expression shown, which integer represents the change in the balance of her checking account. So, do you remember order operations? What do we highlight? The addition or the subtraction? Oh, highlight. The addition or the subtraction operators to break the expression into terms. So what's 5 groups of -6? 5 groups of -6 is -30 because 5 times 6 is 30. Then you put a negative there. And then -7. So what is 30 negative plus 7 negative? If you draw 30 negatives, and I'm not going to do that, but if you draw 7 negative, it's 37 negative. A is the answer. Number 2, what else do you need to know in the test? You need to know your fractions, decimal, percent equivalency like this. Dolores spent 13 out of her $20 in her wallet. Which decimal represents the fraction of the $20 she spent? So she spent 13 out of 20. So how do you write 13 out of the 20 as a fraction? 13 over 20. How do you build this to 100% or hundreds? The relationship is times 5. 20 goes in 100 times 5. So you get 65 hundredths or 65%. Do you see anywhere here? It is right there. So she spent, in other words, more than half of the money in her wallet. So we know it's more than 50%. So that's why D is the only one that makes sense. Number 3, complete the equivalency table. What is a percent again? A percent means anything out of 100. So how do you write 18% as a fraction? 18 out of 100. Can you simplify this? Divide by 2, divide by 2, 9/50th. So 1800 is written as a decimal as this. So 6/20th. Can you write this as a percent? So I'm going to make a table here. How do I build 20 to 100%? Times 5. So 6 times 5 is 30 hundredths. And what percent is that? 30%. Number 7. So taking what you know about fractions, decimal, percent, can you now put them from least to greatest or greatest to least? You will need to know how to do that on the upcoming test 3-2. Do you personally like working with fractions? Decimals or percent? I like working with percents. I like building it into per 100 or out of 100. So here's a fraction. How do I build this to a percent of out of 100? What's the relationship between 10 to 100? Times 10, 70%. This is negative 71.6%. We know that's going to be really tiny. How do you build 25 to 100%? Times 4, 36%. And 4/10, how would you write that using the hundreds place? 40 hundredths or 40%, and this is negative 9%. Put them from least to greatest. Which one is the farthest to the left? So if you had a number line such as this, and this is 0, the farthest one is Ahmad. Then it would be Carson. And which percent is the smallest? Corey. Then we have Jonah. Then Katie is the greatest percent. So what else do you need to know to test? You need to know how to graph points. You will see several questions on such as this to graph points. As a reminder, this is the ordered pair origin. This is like 0. This is the x-axis. In the x-axis, if you go left, it's negative. If you go right, it's positive. This is the y-axis. If you go above, it's positive. If you go below, it's negative. So which point on the grid appears to be located at the following? 5, half, and 9/4. Oh, I think it says negative. Oh, this is negative. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. So this is positive. So we know we're going to go right. So we know it can't be t. Then negative means you have to shift down, so it can't be U. So it can't be T. Right, I can't. Is this a? I think it's a negative. It is a. It's kind of hard to tell, but I believe it's a negative. So which one makes sense here? So 5/2. What's another way to say 5/2? If you have 5 and you divide it into two groups, think of $5. You divide into two groups, each person will get 2.5. 5 divided by 2 is 2, and x is 0. 2.5. So you jump it 1, 2, 2.5 spaces and go down. So W is actual answer. W is actual. How embarrassing. But if it had been positive, you would go up. But it's kind of hard to tell. I'm going to have to go back and re-look at this. But so on the upcoming test, you have to know your operations. You have to know how to multiply, divide fractions, multiply, divide decimals. So what do you remember about product? Product means multiply fraction. 4/5 times 1/2. So in case you forgot, you multiply the numerators, you multiply the denominator, you get 4/10. You simplify it by dividing by 2, and you get 2/5. So next one, you have 3 and 2/3 divided by 1/3. Is 3 and 2/3 written in fraction form? In case you forgot how to write a fraction form, 3 times 3 is 9. 2 more is 11/3. So we write 11/3 divided by 1/3. But when you divide fraction, do we just multiply? No, you have to do something called the reciprocal. Flip it around. So it's 11/3 times 3/1. So you multiply the numerators, 33. Multiply the numerator, third. 33 divided 3 is 11. Let's practice another one for those who forgot how to divide fractions. Like 10/3 divided by 1/3. So 10/3 times, what's the reciprocal of 1/3? 3/1. So it's 30/3, or 10. How many thirds go to 10 thirds? 10 of them. Now, how do you divide decimals and multiply fractions? Sorry, how do you divide decimal, multiply decimal? So first of all, I don't like doing this one. I like writing its fraction. 3 and 40 hundredths divided by 20, 20 hundredths. Do they share the same place value? Yes, what place value do they share? Hundreds. So if you multiply by 100, you're making it into a whole number, 340, and this would be 20. 340 divided, how many 20s go in 340? If you count by hand, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, it would go in 17 times. What if you had a question like this? 3 and 2/10 divided by 8/10. Let's write it in fraction form. What place value are both of them in the tenths place? So it'll be 32/8, or just 4. So now, do you remember how to multiply decimal? It's been a while. So you just multiply 8.8 and 51 hundredths times 17 4/10. So you multiply, multiply, multiply. When you're reaching this place, you have to annex. So you have to put 2 zeros, or 2 placeholders. So it's 148,074. But where does the decimal point go? It has 3 places behind the decimal point. So you have to jump it 3 places. Another way you do it is through estimating. 8 and 51 hundredths is close to 9. 17 and 4/10 is close to 17. If you multiply 17 times 9, you'll get about 153, which is close to that. So 13. So on the test, you will have to know how to find relationships. Wyatt hiked 6 miles in 2 hours. At this rate, how many miles did he hike in 9 hours? Just think. So every 2 hours, he goes up the mountain 6 miles. What if I break it down to 1 hour? Divide by 2, divide 2. Then he does 3 miles every hour. So how do I build it up from 1 hour to 9 hours? Times 9, 27 miles. Another way to do it is I can do it this way. So in 2 hours, if I times it by 3, is 6 miles. So 9 times 3 is 27. So you can do a side-to-side relationship or up and down. I prefer up and down sometimes. Chandir is making cookies. To make 24 cookies, his recipe requires 3 eggs. Using this recipe, what is the total number of cookies he will make with 8 eggs? 24 cookies, 3 eggs. So I need to build it to 8 eggs. Can 3 go in 8? I'm going to have to simplify. How can I break 3 eggs to 1 egg? Divide by 3. And you get 8 eggs, 8 cookies for every 1 egg. How do you build 1 egg to 8 eggs? Times 8, 64 cookies. Did you see an up and down relationship? How do you turn 3 eggs to 24 cookies? Times 8, 8 times 8, 64. 15. Sean's boat is 18.5 meters. What is his boat in centimeters? So this is about meters. So looking at your mathematics chart, let's look for meters, centimeters. Oh, it's right here. Each meter has 100 centimeters. So we can skip count. Like 2 meters would be 200. 3 meters would be 300. 4 meters would be 400, and so on. So it was 18.5. So 11 meters would be 1100 meters. So 18 would be 1800 meters. So D makes most sense. But if you want to do more mathematics, how do you build a 1 meter to 18.5 times 18.5? 100 times 18.5. How many decimal? 1 place. So you move it 1 place, jump it 1 place, 1850. 16. An earthworm has a length of 128 millimeters. What is the length in centimeters? So millimeters and centimeters. So let's look at the chart. Oh, here it is. Each centimeter has 10 millimeters. So a centimeter has 10 millimeters. 2 centimeters would be 20. 3 would be 30. 4 would be 40. 5 would be 50. 6 would be 60. 7 centimeters would be 70 millimeters. 8 would be 80. 9 would be 90. 10 would be 100. 11 would be 110. 12 would be 120. Oh, wait. 128. So 120 is about 12 centimeters. So 120 is about 12. A makes most sense. Or maybe you want to do it this way. How many groups of 10 go into 128? 12, about 12 times. That's why this one makes most sense. One time when it makes sense, because 10, 1 centimeter is 10. We're looking for 128, so that doesn't make sense. 1,280 centimeters, no, millimeters got to be bigger. Nope. So by one, that's reasonable. And the next part of the test, you'll need to know everything about percents. In case you forgot, a percent means out of 100%. This is 0% when it's hardly nothing is shaded. 100% when the whole thing is fully charged. Tori saved 40% of her monthly paycheck for college. She earned $560 last month. How much did she save? So 100%, which is $560. That's all the money she made. I need to figure out what 40% is. Several ways you can do this. Do you remember doing this? Break it down to 10%. What's 5, 6? How do you break it down from 100 to 10%? Divide by 10. So 560 divided by 10 is 56. How do you build it up to 40% from 10%? Times 4 times 4. So 56 times 4 is 224. B is the answer. What if you don't like pictures and you prefer tables? How do you write 40% as a fraction? 40 out of 100. Remember, the bottom represents total. So 560 goes here. How do you build it from 100 to 560? Times, I don't know. So you know what? Let's break it down. How do you break it down from 100 to 10? Divide by 10, you get 4%, which represents 10. So how do you build 10 to 560 times 56? 4 times 56 is 224. So you can make a table, a picture, or using a table. At a concert, 20% of the audience members were teenagers. So if this is 0%, this is 20%, this is 100%. 20% were teenagers, so it's right here because it's teenagers. If the number of teenagers was 360, so 360 goes here. What is the total audience? How do you build, so we do not know how to fully charge this. How do you build 20% to 100% times 5? So 360 times 5, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 6 is 30, carry to 3. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3 is 1800. C is the answer. So, right here. So let's check our work. How do you break 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. So what's 1800 divided by 10? 180. How do you build 10% to 20%? Times 2. 180 times 2 is 360. So 1800. What if you like tables? How do you write 20% as a fraction? 20 out of 100. We do not know the total, so we put 360 up here. What's the relationship between 20 to 360 times 18? That's where we get 1800. 19. 6 guests at a hotel call for room service. If there are 75 guests, what percent call for room service? So here's a picture. So 100%, which is 75 guests. 6 guests, I do not know. So how do you break down 75 to 6? You do it that way. Or let's make a table. So 6 out of 75. Can you build that to 100%? Can you break this down into manageable numbers? If I divide both sides by 3, is 2 and 25. How do you build 25 to 100? Times 4, you get 8%. To check your work, 100%. 10% divided by 10 would be 7.5. So 6 is a little less than 7.5. Oh, so 8% makes sense. So let me move this right here. Makes more sense to move right here. How do you break down 100% to 10%? Divide by 10. 75 divided by 10 is 7.5. So 6 is less than, so less than 10%, 8%. 20. What is the prime factorization of 63? So again, for those who forgot, prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. So do you remember your exponents? How do you say this as repeated multiplication? 2 to the power of 3. 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 7, 56. That's not equal to 63. 3 times 3 times 7. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 7 is 63. B makes sense. And the rest you can tell does not equal 63. Key fewer order operation. You have to highlight the addition, subtraction operators to break the expressions into terms. So we highlight this part. The left side is 127 and 50 hundredths minus 2350. Subtract it would be 104. So the left side is 104. These two are wrong. The right side is 3 groups of what? If you add 8650 plus 4 is 9050. So C is the one that makes sense. So the left side is 104. The right side is 3 groups of 90 and 50 hundredths. 22. Which expression is equivalent to this? So again, order operation. So you break it down, highlight the addition and subtraction operator. To the left side is 12. The middle, how do you say 4 to the power of 3 is repeated multiplication. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. The right side is 24. So 12 plus 64 is 100. So 12 plus 64 is 76 plus 24 is 100. Which one of these is the same as saying 100? Let's try this one. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5 is 24. That equals 100. So A makes sense. 23. So the rest of them, the 23, 24, 25, is what we just learned is using algebra expression. So y times 48. That's like y repeats 48 times. I am not going to draw 48 y's. So which one drew 48 y's? Y times, so they drew 40 y's plus 8 positives. There's no positive here. A doesn't make sense. So here, they drew y, 4 y's, but then they want to multiply these y by 32. But we're looking for 48. Wrong. They drew y 40 times, plus they drew y 8 more times. That's 48y. C makes sense. This does not make sense. You draw y times 4 times plus 8 positives. That is not equal to 48y's. 24. So let's draw these. If you draw each one of these, which one is equivalent? 3 groups of x plus 2. Is that the same as saying 3x plus 2? No, it's 3x plus 6. Wrong. 2x plus 2. 3 groups of 2x plus 2. Is that the same thing as saying 6x's plus 2? No, 6x plus 6. Wrong. 3 groups of 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2. How many x's did we draw? 6, 9 x's. And how many positives? 6. Oh, C makes sense. And last but not least, looking at this picture, how would you describe this picture using the variable x? I see 3 x's and I see 6 positives. I see 6 positives plus 3 x's. Isn't this a group? I see 3 groups of the same thing. Each group has an x and a 2. And then this repeats x and 2, x and 2, x and 2 3 times. Oh, all of them are correct. And this is getting ready for test 3-2. Good luck, guys, for an academic.